So a couple of days ago we had a terrorist attack in Streatham. An Islamist extremist went mad with a machete or a knife, cut up a couple of people. Nobody died as far as I'm aware, bar the terrorist himself. He was shot dead by police. But it got me thinking, and this is a question that I always think whenever these kind of things happen, whether it's a large Islamist terrorist attack like 9/11, 7/7, the Manchester Arena bombings, or whether it's one of these small scale ones like London Bridge or the Streatham one. Nobody ever asks what happened. Nobody ever seems to want to know what caused this person to go down this route and become radicalised and brainwashed and take their religion and turn it into something like this. Now, if you take somebody like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Dennis Nielsen, Harold Chipman, these are all people who went out and killed multiple people. In fact, killed many more than the people who detonated bombs in Manchester Arena or the people who hacked up people on London Bridge. These are people who killed many people. Harold Chipman, I believe, is estimated to have killed hundreds. Hundreds. They believe Ted Bundy killed up to 300. And psychologists, psychiatrists, criminologists, experts, even people with a passing influence or a passing interest in these areas, seem to be, they want to analyse these people's lives, look at their lives from birth right the way up to death to figure out what happened, work out what went wrong, what traumatised them, what twisted them up in this way to allow them to go out and do something like this. Because arguably so, anybody who's rational, anybody who's got a fully functioning brain, fully functioning set of morals or empathy, they wouldn't be able to go out and do what these people have done. The same way they wouldn't be able to go out and do what any terrorist has done in London Bridge, in Manchester, on 9/11 or 7/7. But when you go out and you do it in the name of Allah and you kill 30 people, you kill 300 people, you kill 3 people in the name of Allah, and you say you've done it in the name of Islam and because the Quran says this, nobody wants to answer that question. Nobody wants to ask that question even. And it seems to be that whenever the people that do these acts, that carry out these acts, you take Derek Bird for instance, about 10, 15 years ago, went berserk with a rifle, a black cab driver went berserk with a rifle, went on a killing spree, killed a bunch of people in rural England, and nobody asked, well actually everybody asked, what went wrong, what caused, the media was all over it, what went wrong with this man's life, what caused him to flip and go over the edge. And the same with the New Zealand terror attack, when a man, the right-wing supremacist, went into a mosque full of Muslims just minding their own business, just wanted to pray and be left alone, and they were butchered, murdered, shot dead. And immediately the Mail, the Sun, these kind of right-wing papers in the UK were all over him. Pictures of him as a little boy went on all their front pages, asking the question, what made this innocent young boy who loved his father, what made him turn out to be a murderer? And nobody seemed to ask that when it comes to people who do so in the name of Islam, who go out and kill in the name of, it's almost like Muslims are immune to being, mental illness or immune to having something traumatise them. It's very fascinating because nobody seems to want to ask that question when it's our political enemies. Obviously our political enemies across the world, people who we are most fighting over across the world, Britain and America, are Islamic extremists. So when Islamic extremists are homegrown in our own countries and they go out and they kill people, nobody seems to want to ask the question, why? And I think it's a very important question, because you could argue, as many do, that Islam itself is the fundamental cause of what causes these attacks. What is definitely the fundamental motivation, the fundamental justification that these people offer. But is it the fundamental cause is the big question, because I don't believe it is. There's billions of Muslims all over the world. If Islam itself was what was wrong, was what was causing these attacks, why aren't they all doing it? And it's a very simple question. It's a very easy one to ask. Why aren't they all doing it? Why isn't Nazir Afzal and Mehdi Hassan and Mo Farah, why aren't they all going out and butchering people and murdering people? In fact, Nazir Afzal actually personally made sure that the Rochdale, I believe it was, grooming gang was convicted. He personally ensured that. And if people like Tommy Robinson are to be believed, Islam is the fundamental cause for Asian grooming gangs, Muslim grooming gangs. And it's not. I don't believe it is. I believe the fundamental cause of Muslim grooming gangs is paedophilia. It's as simple as that. The fundamental cause of Islamic extremism I don't know what it is, but I believe one of them at least is Western foreign policy. We get involved in countries like Iraq, Syria, Iran, Afghanistan that we have no business no business to get involved with, no reason to get involved with, and it ends up coming back home to roost. And then nobody seems to ask the question, well, what happened? Well, because you have Muslims at home who are being told that they're being told online by some nutter, some radical in a cave in Syria somewhere, that their government doesn't care about them. People like Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson come out and they just confirm that brainwashing. So Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, Paul Golding, Donald Trump, and people like Bin Laden, people like, what was his name, Abu Hamza, they have one thing in common, is that they do not believe that Islam is a peaceful religion. They believe it's a warlike, violent religion where its followers cannot, its true followers, cannot be peaceful in Western society. They're not compatible. So why is nobody asking these questions? What is causing these young men, who at one point they were innocent babies like the New Zealand shooter, what is causing them to go out and commit these acts and take their religion and twist it in such a way? Let me know what you think. Let me know what questions you have in regard to this subject that you think nobody's asking. Let me know what you think is causing these acts. Let's have a discussion, because nobody else is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.